You know, there's been a little bit of a vibe that all eyes in the NFL have been on Cleveland this offseason. When you draft that dude on the left, Shedeur Sanders, in the 5th round, that'll grab a little attention there. Trying to move up the depth chart. We'll see him today against the Rams. And Sean McVay, meanwhile, that mad scientist mind when it comes to his offense. His team is loaded this season on the short list of potential Super Bowl teams. It's the Browns and Rams right here on NFL Network. Game day kickoff. It's presented by Best Buy. Welcome inside our NFL Network studios. Mike Am, David Carr, Steve White with you. Here we go. Preseason. We're knocking on the door of week one of the regular season. But for some of these guys, really an audition to solidify a spot, whether it's moving up the depth chart or maybe even a starting role. But when it comes to QB1 in Cleveland, Joe Flacco, the guy, he and the starters, probably getting around 20 to 25 reps in this game. What's it like, the OG, when you're out there and you get your first reps of the preseason?
Honestly, just talking to Joe and I went out there to Cleveland, I think he's excited about this. It seems like he still loves the game. He's very healthy. He's got a live arm. So getting out there, and obviously with him being gone last year, too, he had some success here in Cleveland. But let's get out there. Let's get into a real game plan, which is going to be a little bit what we see today. Because you don't put the starters out there in the last preseason game and not do something trying to recreate what you're going to do week one. So I think that'll be fun to see what this new offense looks like. And I say new, but it's old. It's now Kevin Stefanski went back to his roots, said we're going to install the offense we had a couple years ago, and let's get after it. It's going to be fun to watch.
And it's going to be good for Flacco because, remember, he was the backup last year with the Colts. He started a couple of games, but he hasn't played football in a while.
Yeah.
So the fact that he can actually get there on the field against the Rams, 3rd and 4th teamers, and get the whole operational thing going with the starting unit, I just think that whole part, David, you talk about this being a dress rehearsal for week one with maybe doing some scheming in here. I think that's really important for Flacco, again, because he just hasn't played in a game for, probably a calendar year almost.
Yeah, linking some of the mental reps with some of the physical ones, at least for about 25, 30 snaps in this ball game. Meanwhile, you got a couple rookies that are trying to solidify that QB2 spot, although Kenny Pickett's like, yo, Mike, pump the brakes here for just a second. We still have Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. Pickett, by the way, dinged up. But when it comes to these two players, this is what they've done in the preseason. Shedeur in week one really took the NFL by storm. Everyone was focused in on that performance. Gabriel didn't play in that game, came back in week number 2. You see what those numbers are. He looked pretty poised and ready to go. Now, what do we expect to see from both of these guys today? Bridget Condis in Cleveland joins us right now. Bridget, always good to see you. Just break this down for me. We know Flacco is going to get the start in this game. What do we expect from Gabriel and Shedeur?
Yeah, well, Mike, I first want to talk about Flacco for a quick second because I just saw him out here, and it's worth noting that I know he's 40 years old, a lot of questions about his age, but he looked like he was throwing that ball so effortlessly, and he can still sling it for anybody wondering if he can. So he'll start. Kenny Pickett also out here warming up. He will not play today as he's working his way back from a hamstring injury. Why won't he play? Well, he just started back doing 11-on-11s this week in practice, so they're being a little bit cautious with him. So now the story that everyone wants to hear about, Shedeur Sanders and Dillon Gabriel. I'm told in a perfect world, Dillon Gabriel will get in around middle of the second quarter, and then Shedeur will go in middle of the third quarter and play the remainder of the game. As for what head coach Kevin Stefanski wants to see from these backups, he said it's pretty boring, but it's simple. How do these guys look running the offense? Can they spread the ball around? Can they get their teammates in the correct positions to run the correct plays? Shedeur Sanders did not play last week due to the oblique injury. He was back on the practice field this week and said he's feeling good in terms of that injury and needs to be able to go out there today and execute with no excuses. As for when he gets in today or this season, he said this week that whenever the pressure is there, whenever the lights come on, he knows the kind of player he is, and he's ready to showcase when his name gets called that he can be the player here in Cleveland. As for the pressure that these guys are feeling, everybody's feeling it here, Mike, with 3 days until cut down day. I do want to mention, though, the last time a team had 4 quarterbacks to start the season was week 1, and it was the Saints. So it's not totally out of the question. It has been done before fairly recently. Not common, but something we're all watching as Tuesday gets closer.
Yeah, we'll get to take a Steve White and David Carr on that subject a little bit later here on Game Day Kickoff. On the flip side, Bridget, we got a Matthew Stafford. We have spent so much time on these shows talking about the health that he has and concerns about that back injury. It looks like the reports are positive, but as for today, don't expect to see him out on that football field. So what is the plan for QB1?
Yeah, Matthew Stafford isn't even here. He didn't make the trip to Cleveland. None of the crept up in terms of the back injury. So he's doing everything he can to get ready for week 1. He was asked, will he be out there on week 1? And Mike, he didn't want to say yes or no, but they are happy that Stafford is back on the field today. It is Dresser Wynn at quarterback. Stetson Bennett will be dressed in case something happens to Dresser Wynn, but expect to see a lot of Dresser Wynn. I'm saying the name a lot because you guys gotta get ready. It's the first time that we're seeing him all preseason. So Dresser Wynn is our guy here for the Rams.
Let me just tell you this. Steve Weich is legitimately excited about this when we got the news that Dresser was going to give it a go. So Steve will be name-checking him throughout the course of this show. And a good nugget there on Matthew Stafford potentially in week number 1. I want to get David Carr's take on that a little bit later. Bridget, I know there's more from you still to come here on Game Day Kickoff. Meanwhile, speaking of rookie quarterbacks trying to shine, we just talked about Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. The kid in New York's looking pretty special. Jackson Dart.
Get excited.
He's delivering them, baby. Let's go. We'll re-examine what we saw from him the other night.
NFL Game Day Kickoff is presented by Best Buy.
How important it is to have a positive environment inside that quarterback room. And it looks, at least from an outsider's perspective, the dudes actually like each other. And Jameis, I feel like everyone loves him.
Any room he's in, it's going to be positive.
It's going to be magical. You guys sort of alluded to it during the highlight there. I don't know what the wins and losses are going to be. But is there a world where we just start saying, hey, the Giants could be a pretty darn good football team?
I think that that's absolutely a positive thing to say. Yeah. Now, I'm not going to assert that. I'm not going to say yes for sure. We don't know. But all 4 quarterbacks have played good football. Yeah. They've all gone in. I mean, the other night, everyone's throwing touchdown passes. So I'm excited for them. I'm excited for the young kid. I mean, but Russell Wilson, I'm excited for also. Like, he has a great opportunity. And if what you just said was true, Yam, if they do have a good football team, then he understands how to make it work. You got a good pass rush, you play good defense, run the ball a little bit, maybe the offensive line's a little bit better. And it looks like they're starting to figure out, at least this quarterback group, this quarterback room, has a pretty good feel for what Brian's asked them to do. Really, we've only seen Daniel Jones, there's been some mixtures of Tommy and some other guys have got in there, but like maybe Brian Daboll's a good coach. Maybe they can actually move the football on offense. So I'm excited for all these guys, Russell Wilson included.
So let's make this a qualifier here, David. If the Giants are good, Mike Yam is going to be insufferable.
That's right. And I'm fine with that.
But we're good with that.
More than likely. That's an accurate assessment.
But some of the things you just said, first off, defensively, we know they're loaded. You know, that defensive front's loaded. You've got, Bobby Okereke at linebacker. That defense is going to keep them in ball games. If the offensive line can sustain some stuff, they've got some pieces on this team. I mean, we know Tyrone Tracy. We know Devin Singletary at running back. They can run the ball. Malik Neighbors is one of the most explosive players in the NFL. Yep. So the potential personnel-wise is there. But we have talked about it over and over. You look at that schedule, and it is hard on paper to find many wins just because of the degree of difficulty. But if they get off to a good start, momentum is a very dangerous thing.
I will say this also, because I've been in that room, and the Giants fans, why they're excited is that defensive line, Steve. We were talking about that earlier. Like, there might be some questions in the secondary, but I would ask Giant fans to look back at the Super Bowl and say, can you name a guy other than maybe Corey Webster that was in the secondary? No, you can't, because the front was so good. And if these guys can put together the type of front and pass rush with Abdul, with all these guys up front, then you could have something.
Yeah, Dexter Lawrence is the straw of the search.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean,
right?
He is that guy.
I know we've been flashing that schedule for the Giants. That's why I clarified it, and I said, hey, I don't know if the wins and losses, I don't know what the record is.
Oh, you are slow playing the emotions, man.
Let it out, man.
I'm feeling it.
Let it out.
Because there's legit excitement there.
Yeah.
I mean, offensively, there's been some problems the last couple seasons. You saw glimmers of hope with Neighbors, and now all of a sudden you start pairing it with a guy that's got the moxie, we saw nothing but explosive plays at Ole Miss from Jackson Dart. And I hope that Lane Kiffin was there, but you hope Mike Kafka's like, hey, I saw what that dude can do. Meanwhile, Russell Wilson's like, wait a second. I might be I'm the dude, right?
Yeah,
so
he can still do it for sure.
That's part of the problem, right? Like, I think a lot of us, watch these highlights and you think, hey, Jackson Dart, but Russell Wilson's shown.
Preseason is a different season, as you know.
It is. Yeah, Russell will be ready for prime time.
No, we've seen some players have success in the preseason. Doesn't always translate right away. The good thing for Jackson Dart, Russ, you got to worry about him first. Meanwhile, this dude has created a lot of buzz. Got the latest on Michael Parsons.
Eating nachos?
Hungry.